All right, so this is another FRQ analysis video where you get to see how I break down these problems. I mean, for me, I kind of think of them as a little puzzle, like a little little logic puzzle to see if under the time pressure I can go through and solve these. Now, you'll notice as I go through some of these, sometimes I'm a little stuck and you know, fumble a little bit as I'm working through these problems. My goal is to show you how to solve these problems because a lot of them are like reusing the same techniques over and over. And it's not so much about like learning how to do something new, but it's learning about how to use, like figuring out what combination of tools to use and when. All right, so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to give myself about 22 minutes. That's about how much time you'd have on the AP exam to go through and to solve this FRQ. And we're going to jump in from there. All right, so the review analysis class contains methods used to analyze the reviews provided by users. You'll write two methods of the review analysis class. Okay, so first thing I do is I take a look at the class. I take a look at what is available to me because every single thing that's here, every method, every instance variable, I'm going to have to use it at some point. All reviews, okay, so it looks like an array of review objects, okay, review analysis. So I can imagine that there's going to be another class called review, and there's going to be some other methods that are there. Okay, here's the constructor, okay, so I'm probably going to need to create some, maybe I'll need to create a review analysis object. Okay, there's a get average rating method, and there is a collect comments method here that I'm going to have to write here as well, okay. All right, so as I'm going through here, okay, let me just scroll through. Oh, it did not tell me anything about the review class. Oh, yes, that's a lie. That's a lie. They did tell me some things about the review class. They said that the review class has these instance variables, int rating and string comment, and then it's got this constructor. Okay, so I know how how I can create a review object if I want to, and then it also has these methods get rating and get comment. Okay, and then a review analysis, we talked about some of the methods and the instance variables. Okay, I don't need to memorize all of this, but it's just something to keep in mind as I'm going through looking at these problems, because oftentimes that will help me figure out how to solve it. So it says write the review analysis method get average rating, which returns the average rating arithmetic mean of all elements of all reviews. For example, get average rating would return 3.4 if all reviews contain the following review objects. Okay, all reviews was the name of the array that had all the review objects. Okay, so good, thanks. Okay, site. Okay, site, great, poor, bad, and then this person had, like I said, 3, and there's no comment. So this is the first review object. It has a review of 4, and this is the comment. Second review object, review of 3, and then the comment. Third review object, 5, comment. Okay, so on and so forth. Okay, so returns a double representing the average rating of all the review objects to be analyzed. Okay, no element of all reviews is null. Okay, so that's good to know. So I don't have to take care of thinking about null like in the horse barn FRQ, which is in a different problem. Okay, so the method header is already provided for me, so I'm going to go ahead and just jump into that. Okay, so I'm going to use that. Public double, I know I need to return a double, get average rating. Okay, perfect. So first off, I know whenever I have a method and it tells me what the return value is, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a variable of that type. I'm going to say double result gets 0.0. Usually I give it a very basic default value, and later on I have to maybe check up and double check, like, does this make sense as the initial value? But usually it does. Not always, but usually. So I'm going to say return result. Okay, this is my strategy to help me make sure that I get at least 1 point on the, hopefully at least 1 point on the FRQ by making sure that I have constructed a variable that returns the return value and that I return it. Okay, good, done. Okay, so now I'm going to have to go through all of these reviews and get each of the ratings and then add them all together and then find the average. Okay, that sounds to me like I've got my algorithm here. Oops, let me go back. So, okay, so first off, to go through all the ratings, I'm going to have to use a loop. For int index, because we're looping through the indices, not the actual objects. We're looping through the indices of every object in the all ratings array. So as long as the index is less than all ratings dot length, I'm going to increase the index by 1. Okay, so what I need to do as I go through is I need to go ahead and grab the rating. Now, I remembered earlier on, the reason why I said all ratings.length is because I remembered that I had an array of review objects called all reviews. Wait a second. I called it the wrong thing. So I should say all reviews. That's why you gotta double check as you go through, keep looking back at the prompt. Okay, so my index starts off as 0, as long as the index is less than the all reviews.length, then is length what I can use for an array? Yes. If it were a string, I would put 2 parentheses right here, and then I want the index to increase by 1 each time I loop. So what I need to do here is I need to go through and I need to grab the rating for, well, first off, I need to, here, I'm going to break it down into pieces. So what I'm going to say is review current gets all reviews index. So this is going to grab the review at the current index. Then I need to go ahead and get the rating. Int rating. And some people will do this all in one line of code, but not me. I like to break it down into pieces. I'm going to say current dot, and I have to go ahead and I have to get the rating. You might think I could say current dot rating. I can't do that because we know that our instance variables are private. So we can only directly refer to the instance variable if we're in that class. And we're writing get average rating in the review analysis class, and the rating belongs to the review class. So we need an object. So we're gonna have to say current dot instead of saying rating specifically. We're gonna use this method called get rating. So I'm gonna say current dot. Oops, keep clicking on the wrong thing. Get rating. Okay, good. And now what I want to do is I want to add the rating to the result. I'm going to say result plus equals rating. And you might say, wait, hold on. You can't add an integer to a double. You can. But you can't add a double to an integer. You know, yeah, there we go. Because a double takes up double the amount of space in memory, and it takes up half of the amount of space in memory. So if we try to add a double to an integer, there's not enough space in memory to handle it, and it's just, you know. You get what I'm saying? Hopefully you get what I'm saying. Okay. All right. So you go through. And so we're looking at each review. We're grabbing the rating of each review one at a time, and then we're adding it to the result. And then, okay, perfect. Before I return the result, I need to go ahead and divide the result by the number of reviews. So I'm going to say all reviews dot length. Now, sometimes this is where College Board likes to trip people up, because you're going along and you're adding, and you might have used an integer right here, and you say, okay, yep, we got the result, divide, and then, yeah, divide by the length. But what happens is that if we divide two integers, we're going to get an integer back, but we want a double, and we want so we want it to be precise. If the average is 12.3, we want to get 12.3. We're not going to get 12.3 in this case because the highest rating is like 5. But if we got 1.1 or 3.5, we want to get that 0.5 or that 0.1. So we need to make sure that a double was involved here. So if I made my result, like let's say I made my result to be an integer at the beginning, I would have to do some casting right here and call this a double and say like cast double like this. But I don't need to do that here because I made my result a double in the first place. And so when I divide, when I divide by an integer, I still have the precision involved here. I still have it doesn't cut off the decimal. It still ends up with a decimal at the end, which is great. So that looks good. Okay, so now I need to move on to the next one. Okay, so that average rating, that seems good. Seems all clear, but I imagine that seemed pretty straightforward. So I imagine here that things are going to get hairier with part B. So let's look up part B. So, okay, so now write the review analysis method collect comments, which collects and formats only comments that contain an exclamation point. Okay, contain an exclamation point, right? Okay, When I see something that where like you're checking to see if a string contains another string, that tells me index of is probably going to be helpful. The method returns an array list of string objects containing copies of user comments from all reviews that contain an exclamation point. Okay, so my understanding of this so far is that like I need to go through all of the reviews, look at all the comments, and then what I need to do is I need to check to see if that comment has an exclamation point, and I can use index of to do that. And okay, and if it has an exclamation point, then I can go ahead and put it into like this new array list. And so then I'm going to be left with this array list that has all of the comments that have only exclamation points in it. Okay, that have exclamation points in it. Okay, all right, so that's my understanding so far, but let's double check. The string inserted into the array list to be returned begins with the index of the review in all reviews. The index is, hold on, there's a lot of information. I'm trying to process it here. And I've got 13 minutes. Okay, let me breathe. Okay. The method returns an, okay, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. See, you can see that I go through the same things you guys go through. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to start by writing the method header, which is already going to be provided for you on the test, but this is just going to give me a little mental break here as I try to figure out what's going on here. Okay, I have to break it into pieces. Sometimes if I try to, breathe in the whole FRQ, then I'm going to get overwhelmed. So I have to take it into steps. Collect comments. The time pressure really does get to you. Okay. Because the reason why I got all up right now is because, like, I thought I had it. Like, I read this paragraph and I was like, I got it. I know what to do. And then I see all these bullet points and I'm like, wait, why is this more complicated than I thought it was? So let me just figure out what this is trying to tell me. Maybe this is just reiterating what this paragraph is saying, or maybe not. Let's find out. An empty array list is returned if no comment in all reviews contains an exclamation point. Okay. The string inserted into the array list to be returned begins with the index of the review in all reviews. I'm not really sure what they mean by that. The index is immediately followed by, oh, a hyphen. Oh, okay, so now my understanding is that we're not just taking the comment. We're not just taking the comment and slapping it into the array list. First off, we want to capture what the index was in the original array list. And then we want to add in this little dash. And then we want to take the comment and slap it all together. So it looks like we're going to have to do some concatenation. And concatenation is where we take the pluses and we take a bunch of strings and smash them all together. Okay. The string must end with either a period or an exclamation point. If the original comment from all reviews does not end in either a period or an exclamation point, a period is added. Okay, all right. So the following example of all reviews is repeated from part A. So this is an example. Okay, good, thanks. Okay, site, great. Okay, poor, bad. So from my understanding, this one would be included, this one be included, and this one. 0, 2, and 3. And this one does not end with either an exclamation point or a period, so we'd add a period at the end. This one ends with an exclamation point, so that could be as exactly as is, but we have to add in the index, so 2 dash great. Okay, and this one ends with a period, so that's good, but it has a 3, the index at the front. This one also needs the index at the front. Okay, the following array list will be returned. Okay, I think I got it now. Woof. That was a beast, but I think I understand. And now I'm going to stop looking at the thing for a while because my brain hurts and I just need to just write. Okay, now I'm going to do my same tactic here. I know that I'm returning an array list, so I'm going to go ahead and start by making an array list. And I'm going to call it results. Keep it simple, keep it classy. Do the same thing every time because College Board doesn't know that if you do the same thing every time, and that's okay. We're focused on points here, not on trying to reinvent the wheel every time. So I created my array list because this is what my return value is. So I'm going to go ahead and create an array list, and that's going to store my return value. And I know that I need to look at every single, basically there are going to be some similarities to this code up here, right? I'm still going to have to loop through every single index in my array of reviews. So I'm basically copying what I wrote before. I could copy and paste, but I'm trying to do a better job of simulating what you would experience on the AP exam when you write your code, even though you would write your code on paper. Stay tuned because, Lord willing, in the future, I'll start writing these on paper. And I'm going to go ahead and look at every review, and I'm going to say all reviews index. Perfect. So basically, so far, this looks exactly the same as what I did before, except I got a different return type. Now, the difference here is that now, instead of getting the rating, I'm going to get the comment. And I think that there is a getter method for the comment as well. Let's scroll up here, scrolling. Aha, string get comment. It returns a string, so I need to go ahead and store it in a string variable. So I'm going to say current dot get comment. Woohoo! So the next thing I needed to do is once I've grabbed the comment, I need to see if it contains an exclamation point. So I'm going to create a boolean. I'm going to say boolean. I'm going to call it exclaimed. And let's see. It's going to return true so what I need to do is I need to use index of, and this is where the Java quick reference guide comes into play here. And so the way index of works, here we go, is that it takes in a string. You call this method on a string, and it takes in another string, and if that string is in the string that's calling this method, then it's going to return a number other than -1. Okay, so I'm going to say comment.index of not equal -1. There we go. So I've turned this into a Boolean expression. This is going to go ahead and it's going to look at the comment. It's going to say, hey, is there an exclamation point anywhere in that comment? If so, it's going to go ahead and return the index of where it found the exclamation point. Otherwise, it's going to return -1. So if this returns -1, then that means that we didn't find it. But if it returns something other than -1, then we found the exclamation point inside the comment. Whew. Okay. Whew. Okay. So what we're gonna do here is now we need to go ahead and make our new string. Okay. So our new string is gonna be string new string, and basically what we do is we take, if I remember correctly, it said that we had to. Let me see if I can go back. It said that we had to take the index, the string inserted into the array list to be returned begins with the index of the review in all reviews, and then the hyphen, and then the copy of the original comment, and it has to end with either a period or an exclamation point. Okay, so that ending with a period or exclamation point, that's where things are going to be a little trickier. Maybe not going to have enough time to check my work, but I'm going to do this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, first off, I need this to be a string. So if I start by saying index, then I might get an error because I'm trying to add a string to a number, but I can add a number to a string. So I'm going to do this, this empty string plus index plus the hyphen or dash plus the comment. Okay, and it seems like this is going okay so far. Before I forget, I want to go ahead and I need to make sure that I check to see if exclaimed equals true, or I can just say if exclaimed. So if that's true, then I'm going to do all the stuff I'm doing right now here, where I create this string, and and then I'm gonna create the string, and then I need to go ahead and add. See, it's times like this where I'm really glad that I've got my little trick where I return here at the bottom, because right now, since I'm running short on time, I could easily be like, and forget, and like do all this stuff here, and then forget to return, and then lose a point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say result.add new string. Now I'm trying to keep a lot of things in my short-term memory at this time, which is why it's good to have that time at the end, but I don't really have that in this case. I need to do the checking piece, right? Right here, before I add it, I need to go ahead and check to see if the last character is a exclamation mark or a period. And this is where it gets hairy, and I've got 2 minutes, and let's see if I can remember what the right steps are. So what I can do is I can say int last car, int in the index of the last character, because I need to check to see if that's a period or an exclamation point. It's going to be new string dot length -1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say string last character string is going to be equal to new string dot substring starting from last car. Okay, so that's going to grab everything starting at the last car. And I just see this is where you start making mistakes, because you don't have enough time, and I've got about 80 seconds here. Okay, and basically what I'm going to say is if last car string dot equals, or if it doesn't equal exclamation point, and if it doesn't equal the period, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say new string plus equals period. Whoa, that was massive. Okay, now end loop. I've got 17 seconds. And if. Now, I've got 10 seconds. Now, on the AP exam, technically, you actually get 22 minutes and 30 seconds per problem. And it's all kind of lumped into 90 minutes. So this might be one where I might take a few seconds and just do a quick check and be like, okay, I've got my array list of strings, and I'm returning the strings. I've looped through all of the reviews. I'm grabbing the review at the current index. And what I'm going to do here is I'm grabbing the comments, and first I go through and I check to see is there an exclamation point at the end, and if so, then what I do here is I go through and I grab the index and I add this hyphen and the comment, and that is my new string that I'm adding to the resulting array list. And I need to grab the last character, so I take the length, the index, I take the length, -1. I probably could have combined this into 2 lines, but I just don't really have it. Okay, so I'm taking a little bit more time here on this one, but I just want you to see it here. Okay, see how I'm going through this. Okay. And basically what I do is I check to see if the last character is not equal to exclamation point, and the last character is not equal to the period, and I missed my little bracket here. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and add a little period at the end, and then add that whole new string to the result. Woo! That was massive. That was a massive problem. Okay. All right. we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna look at the scoring guide for this one. Woo! I feel like there's got to be a faster way than what I just did. I feel like I could have combined this. Most people probably didn't do all this extra stuff, and so maybe this is also the downside of doing like each individual line of code. It helps you to make sure you really know what you're doing, but it also can be a little bit of a time suck. All right, so let's look, and let's see what the scoring looks like for this problem. Woo! Wow, you can see it took a lot of mental energy to solve this one. They're juicy puzzles here. Okay, so first one. Oh, wow. So first, okay, they made their lives easier. They used an enhanced for loop. I didn't even think of that. I should have used an enhanced for loop here. Maybe would have saved me a little bit of time. So they went through all the reviews in the review. They grabbed the rating and added to the sum, and then they had to do the casting because they started off with an integer instead of a double. So, but I didn't need to do that because I started off with a double. And then they created their string, their array list string, their array list of strings, great. And then they went through all the reviews. They grabbed the comments at each review, and then they checked to see, okay, is this comment, does it contain an exclamation point? So basically they checked to see if it was not equal to -1. And then what they did here is that they figured out what the last character was by doing the, by using the length of the comment and subtracting 1 and using substring. And then they did exactly what I did. They checked to see that it wasn't equal to an exclamation point, and they checked to see if the last character wasn't equal to a period. And if so, then they added a period, and then they added to the comment the index, and then this hyphen and the comment. Oh, it turns out, you know what? I actually didn't need to do the little empty string in front of the I. I guess it wasn't necessary. Thought it was. And then they returned the comment list. Woo! Okay. Whoa, what a big problem. Sorry. I'm just impressed by that was a big ask of the AP exam here. Okay, so initializes and accumulates sum. I did do that. Great. For problem A. Yeah. Accesses every element of all reviews, no bounds errors. That's also the benefit of the for each loop, is that you don't get the bounds errors. It's like easier to not make the bounds errors. And computer returns the double average, did that. Yep, I'm not surprised that the second one is worth 6 points because it was a massive problem. Yep. Okay, instantiates an array list. I did that. Accesses every element of all reviews, no bounds errors. Okay, hey, did the same header as the first one, so no problem. Calls get comment on an element of all reviews and calls at least one string method appropriate on get comment return value. Yes, we called index of. Compares the final character of comment to both a period and an exclamation point. Did that. Assembles the string appropriately based on the result of the comparison of the last character with the period and the exclamation point. That's my second if statement here. Yep. I did that concatenation here as well. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Good. And then last but not least, adds all and only appropriate constructed strings to the array list. So that means, yeah, this point is all about doing the right thing when it comes to only adding the comments that contain exclamation points and making sure that the comments that don't have an exclamation point or a period at the end have a period. Wow. So that was a really, I've said it enough times. That was a lot. I really wasn't expecting College Board to pack so much into one problem. But if you ever find yourself in a situation where like part A was like pretty easy, breeze, you know, pretty simple algorithm that you know how to do, you have to brace yourself that part B is going to be the one that is going to contain the juiciest amount of points. Yeah. So that's it.